Hey, it's Scott Weiss with Lessons on Leaving, your complete guide to funerals. Here again today with another lesson on leaving. Hey, last time I spoke with you about my pre-planning guide, my funeral planning guide that I put together. I hope you went ahead and downloaded that, and also I hope you went ahead and started filling in the blanks. Why do we stress so much planning the funeral in advance? Jessica Mitford is a famous author who released a book in the early 60s called The American Way of Death. And in her book, she highlights 5 factors that puts the person who is purchasing a funeral at the funeral home in such a disadvantage. In other words, it's a very unique transaction that occurs unlike any other transaction that we'll deal with in our lifetime. And there's 5 factors that contribute to making that transaction so different and so detrimental for the funeral purchaser, the funeral buyer. Now I want to go over those 5 factors with you. I'm not going to cover them all today because they can go in depth, but I'll cover them probably over the next 2 videos. But what is unique about the funeral purchase? Well, number one is that you are making a purchase of thousands of dollars, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, in a complete state of intense grief. So you're bewildered, you're dazed, you're confused, you're disoriented, your thought process is not occurring right. I've been studying grief now 15 years. I've been a certified grief counselor. I can tell you, you do not want to make decisions that affect your family and cost thousands of dollars when you're in an intense grief situation. I remember when my father died, my brother gave me a call, and I take great pride in being a person that, you know, always has things planned out and very organized, and I was disoriented. I was down. I knew I had to make a drive really fast, and my tires needed to be rotated, so I went to the tire store, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to this guy, and my mind is just all over the place. I wasn't able to focus. I sat down. I couldn't read anything. I just, you know, I was just very, very bewildered, confused, and dazed. And so this is not the time to be studying or trying to figure out prices for funerals or researching the funeral customs or traditions. This is a time where you need to focus on the loss of the person. So it's a wrong time to go out and make all these decisions with this intense grief that we're experiencing. The second thing that makes this funeral purchaser or buyer at such a huge disadvantage is their ignorance. And what I mean by ignorance is the ignorance of the entire funeral experience or the merchandise. What experience do you have in your life that enables you to distinguish between an 18-gauge casket and a 20-gauge casket, and why is this casket $3,000 and this casket's $1,000? What life experiences do you have? Because we don't sit around the water cooler at work talking about the death care industry. We don't talk about funerals. It's a subject that we need to talk more about, but we don't. And so what experiences in your life says, well, this is a good package for $5,000. Well, this is a good deal for $10,000. And it's not the time to go out and do the research at that point. You don't feel like going from funeral home to funeral home to get prices. Again, you're intensely involved in grief. So with the intense grief, with the ignorance of funeral customs and practices and merchandise and what is who knows about the funeral industry? Well, the funeral director does. So he works for the funeral home. Not to say that they're always going to want to steer you in a way that you're going to spend more money, but it does happen. So you need to arm yourself with knowledge, because again, knowledge is power. Continue to watch these videos. Continue to work on your planning guide. If you want a funeral planning guide, you need to subscribe to my newsletter. I'll send one right out to you. But again, there are 5 factors. We're just going to cover these first 2 today. The intense grief that you're in and your lack of knowledge about the funeral customs or situation or merchandise, that you have no basis in your life experience to justify a price that they might want you to spend. Why is it that much? So you need somebody like me who has the experience to educate you, to help you out. So continue to watch these lessons. We'll talk next time about the remaining 3 factors that make the funeral purchaser, you know, in a bad position or put you in a disadvantage that's unlike any other purchase we might make in our life. So again, it's Scott Weiss and Lessons on Leaving, your complete guide to funerals. Go ahead and subscribe to the newsletter, like my page, give me a thumbs up if you're looking on, at YouTube. But continue to talk about this. Give me some dialogue. Again, leave a comment, a suggestion, a question you might have, anything you want to hear about or know more about. So I appreciate your time watching today, and we'll see you next time.